Well, hello there, YouTube. It's Monday, February 26th, 2024. And in today's video, I'm going to install the front motor mounts. Not the entire motor mount, the rubber bushing I'm not going to install, but basically everything else. And I just wanted to mention, it takes a lot to produce these videos, at least in this kind of detail with multiple cameras and all that kind of stuff. What should only take a few minutes took me an entire day to do, and then at least another day for me to actually put it all together and present it here on YouTube. So if you get anything useful out of my videos at all and you want to give me a special thanks, you can click on the thanks button that YouTube provides on the bottom of all my videos. I just want to get this video going, so let's get started. These here are the engine shock absorbers and brackets, as well as the bolts for the engine mount. I had previously done a video on how to put this all together and rebuild them. So if you want to do that video, there's a link in the description below. But right now, the engine is just sitting on the front motor mounts and being held up in the back by the jack. If you guys are doing your engine mounts, really all you do is just loosen that bolt. Just take this bolt out, and then all this assembly will come out with it. And then just jack up your engine from underneath using a board across your pan so you don't put all pressure in one area. Lift it up, and then there's a little bolt here on the left and right hand side of each one of the mounts. You loosen those, and the cap and mount and everything will come out, and there's a little cone thing in there. We'll look at it later. And that's it. So changing the motor mounts is not a huge deal, but right now it's sitting like this. And we're going to take these, obviously, and mount it. So everything I do is the reverse order of how you take it apart. And in the back right now, as you know, I'm using a jack, which is not a hydraulic jack, so I don't have to worry about it losing pressure or anything like that. But I've positioned that transmission approximately where it would actually be. It's a lot easier to build this part of it outside the vehicle and then just drop this in and line up your bolt holes. These are 10mm nuts. And all I'm gonna need really for this job, a little wrench. I think it's a 7mm, don't quote me on it because I don't have a 7mm. This is a 932. There's a little place where you hold on to it. As a matter of fact, here it is right here. And that is on the actual shock absorber. So you're gonna hold that while you tighten the nut on the bottom of this. You'll wanna keep all this together. This is the right side. If you notice, I've got the special bracket on here. But as far as all the other things, they're the same, but the two sides are different. This one here has the mount, the other side does not have a mount. Orientation of these are important. You want to make sure, if you're not sure, watch my other video on when I completely rebuilt these. So besides this, to hold your shaft so it doesn't spin, you're going to need a nice little torque wrench. This is my favorite torque wrench. I love this thing. It's easy to use. It's perfect to go up to 16 Newton meters. I have it set at 8.5 Newton meters because according to the instructions, it is between 8 and 12 Newton meters. That is all I got to do. Also note that these nuts are nylocks, right? They lock, they're nylon. To get a proper torque, you gotta hold the wrench where it tells you in the manual. I have to hold it like this to get. There it is, 8.5 Newton meters. Now let's take a look and see how much thread came out of there. About 7.82. So that's that side. Don't do this. You don't do this until after. Remember, these are one-time used nuts. And now we'll do the same with this. There it is. pretty much the same, 7.81. And that's basically how it goes, just like that. This will sit on there, just like that. Let's go ahead and put this in. So I think the easiest way to do this is to first assemble this to the body of the vehicle. That's an exhaust shield right there that protects the piston of that shock absorber. And then that sits on top of the body, and then your rubber fits on top of that, and then your cap, your washer, and your nut. And then that other part, which we built up on the bench, is dangling there at the bottom, and it's twisted to this one side. I'm going to set this right here. That's the bolt. I do not have the vehicle on jacks. It's just flat on the ground like you would at home without a jack. Because if you have a jack, this thing here will end up swinging down, and then you won't be able to get your bolt through here. Or you can jack it up, and then you'll have to jack this part of the suspension up where the spring is. So I'm just laying down here in the front of the vehicle here, and I'm just guiding this up. You can see my lock washer right there, and I'm just guiding that up through that hole. And also notice that this is a wobbler. It's a wobbler. And that's it. And I just kind of get it up here. It's kind of difficult when you get to this point.
You're up already.
I'm all the way up?
Uh-huh.
Right through your hole. And then put your cap on.
Yep.
And there you go. So this is what's important. That little tab right there needs to seat in that hole. You should be able to see a bit on each side. It should be pretty well evened out. Now previously you can see the person installed this wrong, and you can see there's a little bit of an indentation on that cover. So they tighten it down on that cover, and you don't want to do that. You want to tighten it in that hole. Now they did the same thing to the other one, which I haven't even put on yet, and I can see that it's got the same markings. So pay real close attention to this before you tighten things down. So now I'm ready to start snugging this up. Now I'm just using a wrench, and all I'm going to do is snug it at this point. Don't torque it down yet. Just like that. That way there you know the cap is going to stay there, so it's just wrist tighten, that's it. Now let's go put on the other side. So now you've seen the left side go in, and I thought I should address the right side. It's exactly the same, like I said, except for the fact that it's got this bracket. We've already torqued this on, right, as far as that goes. And it's a 10mm hex in my case. And then you've got the bolt, and you have a lock washer. If we look at number 19 there, they say it's a spring washer. But when you go to purchase this, it comes back as a regular lock washer. That's what it says on MBS USA's website as well. And then this here's a 9-inch wobbler. As far as the way that this all goes, all I'm doing is taking this cap off and the washer, and then I remove the rubber and the shield. Then fully compress this. If you haven't already, make sure it's all fully compressed, and then that will give you plenty of room to put this into the vehicle. So now I'm on the front right-hand side of the engine compartment, working on the right shock absorber. And like I said, you just bring this in, drop it on in without that top, right? Just that rubber piece. Go ahead and bring it up from underneath, just like that. And I'm just going to let it rest like that. Next thing that goes on is your shield. And it kind of fits right in there like that. Then your rubber piece. Your cap, washer, and nut. Now, I wouldn't tighten this nut yet. You want to make sure that everything's going to work how you need it to work first. Next, we'll grab this and bring that on down. You should actually put this cap on first, but I didn't set up the camera that way. You have to move one out of the way here. Here we go. There's that one. Pick this back up and set it right about where it's going to go. It's right about there. All right, just going to come up through here. There's my lock washer and my head of my bolt.
Came all the way up.
Let's check all that. So now that you can see it's all lined up in that hole, I'm going to go ahead and snug this one up. Everything's fitting right how it should fit. I'm going to snug it again. I'm not going to torque it. Wrist tighten. Beautiful. Okay, so now I've got both sides all snugged up and this thing's sitting right in the center, just like the other one. And as I mentioned, you can see somebody had already put this on wrong and they dented that cover. It doesn't hurt anything, but be aware of that because you could actually bend that tab up as well. And you want these things to stay where they belong. If all you're doing is just these shocks in the front here, then you're gonna be good to go. Go ahead now and tighten each one of these up, and then you can see the torque setting here is 75 Newton meters. So that's for bolt 20 right there. That's the one we're working on. And then there's that cone shape kind of thing. Maybe it's not so much cone shape, but that was that thing I was talking about earlier in the video. And then your motor mount, and then here, and then the cap, and there you go. So we've just assembled all that. So like I said, if you're done, go ahead and equally bring them back up and torque them down to 75 Newton meters. Once you've done that, move back up to the top and you can go ahead and tighten that number 1 to 12 Newton meters. Now, it's really hard because there's nothing to hold on to. You have to hold on to that piston and then try to crank that down, but really, these are got nylocks on it, so just get it all snugged up so it doesn't make any noise. All the force is coming from the vehicle down below and up to this mount. The top of this is really just to look pretty. So as long as it's snugged up, you're going to be good to go. Now, I'm not going to be doing that because I've got the rear motor mount to do. But besides this rear motor mount, I also have all of this to do as well. I'm going to be putting on the flex disc, the rear drive shaft, the boot for that, the hanger, the whole 10 yards. And so I'm going to do a separate video for the rear engine mount. That's what they call this. You know, a lot of people will call it a transmission mount. Again, that is the reason why I decided to just go ahead and make a separate video for this. And I guess that takes care of this video. That's how I did it. Maybe not how you want to do it, but you can see how I did it and you can take it from there. All right, you guys, thanks again for watching.